In this video, I'm going to review the ATN X-Sight 4K Pro mounting system. Whether you bought a 3x14 or 5x20, ATN provides you with 30mm extra high rings. These rings measure 1.65 from the midpoint of the ring to where they meet the rail. This ring gives you enough clearance for 99% of the rifles out there, and really too much clearance for most bolt actions. ATN did obviously have to kind of pick one height that would work for most, so they did the right thing by providing the high ring. With the kit, you get the basic ring with just the round top. ATN also provides this top with dual rails that allow for mounting of your IR either on the right or left side of your sight. I like that feature. It makes for a little bit more flexibility with your IR light. And last, they provide you this cantilever ring. What this does is allows you to shift the sight further back or further forward if you need to, while allowing you to stay on your rail, on your primary receiver rail, and not move forward over onto your handguard. So I do like those features. Now let's talk about the problems. I went ahead and set this 6.5 Grendel up using the ATN Rings and ran into some problems right out of the gate. First, I couldn't find ATN's torque specs for the sights, or for the rings, right? So what is this nut supposed to be torqued to make sure I don't over tighten it, but I also have a good grip on my receiver? I know from experience through installing a lot of scopes that most of the time that's going to be between 40 and 65 inch-pounds. I erred on the side of caution and I set my torque wrench down to 35. If you don't have a torque wrench, I'd highly recommend getting one when you're working with sights. It's so easy to over tighten or strip out an Allen screw or a torque screw. So great tool to have in your arsenal. But let's get back to what was going on. So I set it to 35 pounds. I mounted this ring on the front. I did not need the cantilever for this rifle. ATN did a superb job with eye relief on this sight. There's 3.5 inches of eye relief. Makes it really easy to get comfortable behind the glass. As I was tightening this down though, at 35 inch-pounds, I kept turning and I kept turning and I kept turning, and it just seemed way too much. Felt like it was slowly getting tight, but I got concerned that I was going to strip that screw, so I stopped. I backed my torque wrench down to 30 inch-pounds and proceeded to install the back one, and I was able to get that one on at 30 inch-pounds, and I actually had the torque wrench break over. Again, I was getting concerned because it just felt like I was turning and turning and turning. What that tells me is this aluminum is soft, and either it was cutting into the actual ring or I was slowly pulling the threads of the screw off. So I got it on. The next thing, I ended up putting the scope on, getting it level, and as I was mounting the top half of the rings, again, I didn't have specs to go with, so I went with 15 inch-pounds. And that's typical. Most tops are 15 to 20. I've seen some, I think Vortex Precision go up to 25 inch-pounds or 22 inch-pounds. Set my driver at 15 inch-pounds. Used a 2.5 metric Allen key, same thing that it comes with. Obviously, I'm using the version for my torques, or for my torque wrench. As I tightened it down, what I found was the first screw I put in, before even breaking at 15, I had actually turned one hole, turned past, and it stripped that Allen screw out. Went ahead and did the 7 other screws and never really made it to full torque on any of them. I just kind of used I'm going to stop before I strip the Allen screw. So I got a little concerned there. There's several reasons why. One, your bases or your rings are integral to your rifle. If you don't have a solid mount for your sight, you risk point of impact shift. You risk the scope or the sight moving around a little bit. Especially if you have a higher recoil rifle, you really need something that's gripping that rail and holding the sight tight. Again, I think it's nice that ATN provides them. I wish they had just done a little bit more quality control. If you've already spent $700, $800 on one of these sites, I would highly suggest you invest in some decent rings. And I'm not saying you need to go out and buy a $200 or $300 set of rings. You can get something like these Vortex XTRs for, I want to think, 50 or 60 bucks on any sporting goods store or online. For the money, I think this is about the best bang for the buck. These rings are solid. They have a great surface area to clip to the rail or to mount to the rail. You can see they're about 1.5, maybe a little bit more thicker than the ATN rings. I did, for my bolt action rifles, I ended up going with a medium height, not the extra high. It gave me still plenty of clearance. I'll show you what I'm talking about. On this 17 HMR, with the factory ring or with the rings provided by ATN, I end up with about an inch and a half, maybe even more, of clearance between the lower end of, or the lower part of my sight and the barrel. So again, my comment here is if you're going to spend the money, go ahead and invest in a little bit better ring. So you can see, I can put my whole hand through there. What that ends up doing to you is your cheek well is up here. You're having to hold your head up off the sight instead of being comfortable resting. So you're a little less stable off the bench or on that quick shot. And I will show you real quick the difference when I put those medium rings on. One other thing to note, ATN, so most sights, most rings use a 1/2 inch nut. ATN uses a 12 millimeter. If you have it set like this, it comes with a 1/2 inch. Note that the 1/2 inch will fit and it will turn it, but it's sloppy on there and you'll risk stripping that nut out. Make sure you use a 12 millimeter socket on those. With this Burris rings, you can see this is the 3x14. They're still the same diameter on the objective lens. So I have a lot better cheek well. I'm a little lower on the sight. I still completely clear the bolt. That was one of the great things ATN did by changing the housing. So that's one option. Currently, I have not found a single ring setup like this that fits this 3.5 to 3 3/4 inch housing. I know ATN is making one. One of the nice things about these sights is the profile saving, so you can move this from rifle to rifle. Obviously, that becomes a little more difficult when you're dealing with a 2-ring setup. That's why I like these single units. I think they work a little better for sights like this. I'm sure other vendors will come out with rings that will work with this as well, or single base rings that will work as well. So hopefully this helps you in making a decision on whether or not to use the factory rings or to go out and purchase something that's a little sturdier. Again, I think they'll be fine. You just need to be extremely careful while torquing them down to not over torque. And note that removal of the ring is also very difficult because they strip so easy. I hope this is helpful, and I will be bringing you more videos in the future. If you have anything you want to see or comments on the video, please leave a comment below and I will get back to you.